Hi guys. Good evening. Am I audible to everyone?
Yeah,
Good
hi
morning.
Raman.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Hi guys. This is Mohan. Actually, I'm your trainer. I'm a senior technical engineer over here. I'm a real-time cloud architect as well, and currently I'm handling that AWS and Azure DevOps. Those kind of fields. Currently, I'm working. I'm having around 10 plus years experience in this field. Today we are going to discuss the DevOps scenario. Anybody having any idea about the DevOps? I'm not asking in depth of DevOps. I'm just asking in public perspective. Anybody has any idea about DevOps? In earlier, you guys knows that AWS, right? AWS, EC2, S3, so many services you guys know, I think. Now you are, coming into DevOps. You guys having any idea, just basic idea about that? Yeah, okay. So fine, I'll just explain. DevOps, which is nothing. If we are going to discuss the DevOps, before that, we have to aware of SysOps. Okay, SysOps, which is nothing. In earlier, you guys, learned that AWS, right? EC2, S3, VPC, and load balancer, like that. Those kind of things you guys really, know that, right? So that is what, SysOps. Okay, which means if any client requirement arrives, you guys have to complete in the console via. Okay, via the console, you have to complete the client requirement. That is what system operation. But coming to DevOps operation, right? You have to develop one script. Okay, you have to run the script. Then only that respective thing made it in your AWS infra as well as networking part as well. Okay, so I'll just open one diagram. I'll just pick that diagram from internet. DevOps. Just search it like DevOps. I just pick one image. Okay. So here, so many images are, they are listing here. I'll just, pick this one. So here we can see whatever the client requirement, if they are giving in the sense, first you have to plan it. Okay, so now that is the first stage of a DevOps scenario. Plan it in the sense which is nothing. Okay, that is going to take care by cloud architect. Okay, so for example, your client requirement will be, huge requirement. Your cloud architect should, they should, split into small modules, and then they are redirecting to team leaders, and then team members, they're going to work. Okay, so that is that, that is what, plan. And then code, which is nothing, your real-time developers, they have to they have to develop the code, and then they have to upload it into repositories. Like, in real time, so many repository providers there, like GitLab and Git and Bitbucket. And then even if you take cloud in AWS as well, code commit is there for real time, code deployment, so many version control is there. Okay, for developing that real-time codes. And then here you can see build, test, like that, two things is that. Okay, once the developer got completed, testing team, they have to testing team have to test the code. Okay, so if any bugs inside, or if any complications inside, in the sense, they have to check it. Okay, once the testing got completed, they have to release it, and then we have to deploy it into one place. Okay, for example, if this developer building one code which is like one application, for example, even we can take Flipkart. For example, we can take Flipkart as example. Once the developer completed the Flipkart application, testing team, they have to test the application. After that, we have to deploy it into one place, right? So that is what deployment state. Deployment state in the sense which is like hosting thing. Okay, so it will be, Docker container, or it will be, EC2 instance, or on-premises server, or okay, that we need to decide. After that, operation, which is nothing, in real time, if any if any applications got, created, in the sense, initially, what they're going to do, they are going to deploy it into multiple machines. Okay, not only in real time, whatever the application you're gonna take, those applications deployed in a backend multiple nodes. For example, 20 to 30 nodes. They are, real-time application configured in a multiple nodes. So if we want to configure the if we want to configure the same application in multiple machines, in the sense, I need to take a login. Sorry, I need to log in that each machines, and then I have to deploy the application into that. Okay, that will be too much of task. Okay, too much of headache to me. So that in real time, so so many vendors there for providing that operation, which is like Chef, Ansible, Puppet, like that. So many tools there. The advantage is, if we are using, in the sense, we don't want to take those node machines remote. Okay, we can simply push that application into the master node. Those things will be reflected into that backend, multiple nodes. Okay, that is what we can perform in operation. And then monitoring tools, Grafna, and then Greylog, like that. So many monitoring tools there. These tools going to these tools going to help us for monitoring the Flipkart applications. And if any bugs, if any, if that application, it couldn't redirect one page to another page, if it is throwing any 404 error, like that, if any bug comes under in that application, this monitoring team redirect into that architect. Then architect have to plan it, and then this process will continue. So that they are designing this infra as a loop model. Okay, this is what CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous deployment. Sorry, continuous delivery. Okay, anybody has any doubts in this DevOps scenario? Anyone has any doubts? Okay. So fine. Now we are going to discuss about the Linux. Okay, so today we are going to start from Linux basics. So before that, you guys have to know the exact flow. So now first we are going to discuss the Linux. After that, we are going to discuss the Python, and then Boto 3. Boto 3 is just nothing. It's a module. So why? Because why we are using, in the sense, for doing that automation, we can use the Boto 3, and we can integrate with the existing resources as well. So in that session, I'll explain in depthly. Okay, just a package. So using that package, we can, automate the resource using Python. Okay, so that is what, Boto 3 going to perform. And then Lambda. Okay, Lambda, it's a function. So here we can perform some automation related thing. For example, Friday evening, this script going to run. Monday morning, this script going to run. Like that, we can set some trigger, and then we can design our source code inside of that Lambda. Okay, Lambda accept, so many languages like Go, Java, and .NET, and yeah, and then .NET and Ruby, like that. So many languages, this is going to accept. Okay, we can design our script in any language. That's your wish. But if you want to set any automation, in the sense, we can go with the Lambda. After that, here you can see CloudFormation. CloudFormation, which is similar like Boto 3, but this Boto 3, it's a package. But CFT, it's a service for creating the new resource. CFT, it's a suggested one. Okay, so if you are creating any new resource, in the sense, CFT, it's a suggested one. And then one more advantage is that if you are creating any new resource, in the sense, if any bugs in that last resource creation, for example, if you are creating 10 virtual machines in CloudFormation, you mistakenly put one wrong input in that last instance details. Okay, in the time last instance not going to create it. Okay, so if you are doing the same thing in Boto 3, right, 9 instance going to create, but that throwing the error in 10th instance. Okay, once you fix that bug, you have to clean that existing 9 resource. Okay, then only it creates the proper 10 resources. But if you are going to CloudFormation, right, if you did any simple mistake in our CFT, in the sense, it going to delete that existing existing resources as well. Okay, so that is what we can centralize. Even we can we can manage our resource in a centralized place, which is Stack. Okay, here as well we can manage our resources in a centralized place. And then Ansible, you guys know, just before I explained, right, in this diagram, where it is. Okay, for deploying our application into multiple machines, multiple nodes, we can go with the Ansible. Okay, like that, so many vendors is there, Chef and Puppet, like that, SCCM, like that. So many vendors is there. But why we are using Ansible in the sense, first thing, it's an open source. We don't want to go any subscription, and we don't want to know once we configured, once we establish the connectivity between master and node, we can simply execute our command. And the main thing is, we don't want to take the node machine remote. Okay, we can simply configure all those things in a master machine only, using it going to communicate using that public IP. Okay, using that, sorry, public key. Using that public key, it going to communicate. But if you are taking SCCM or Puppet, like that, in the sense, you have to take the remote of master, and then you have to take the remote of node machines. Then only you can configure this Ansible thing. Sorry, then only you can configure the salt stack or SCCM, those kind of things you can configure. And then Docker, I think who sent this message? Oh, okay. And then Docker. I think somebody knows about Docker. Docker, which is like container orchestration, which is like initially when the cloud computing arrives, most of the people's deploying the real-time application in virtual machines only. Okay, so in nowadays, most of the people's going with the Docker and Kubernetes orchestration. Why? Because if you are using the Docker, you can deploy the multiple applications into the single machine. Okay, so now that is that advantage in Docker. Instead of the Docker, like so many pointers there, so many command is there. Okay, so those kind of things we are going to perform it in Docker. And then Jenkins. Okay, Jenkins, which is nothing, which is like for doing that CI/CD scenario. And just before I explain this one, right? Inside of Jenkins, we are going to achieve this scenario in a CI/CD pipeline. Okay, so automation related things we are going to discuss it. And if you see GitHub, you guys know, version control system for uploading our real-time source code, we can use this. Okay, just recommended one. Here as well, you can configure the CI/CD. Okay, and then salt stack, just before we know, which is similar like your Ansible. Some drawback is there inside of salt stack for doing that node machine remote, like that so many things is there, we will discuss it. And then Terraform, why most of the people's using Terraform in the sense it supports the multi-cloud. For example, if you want to automate the resource in AWS, in the sense it allow you to do the automation. If you need to automate any Azure related resource, it allow you to do that. If you are going to create any resource, set up any new resource in GCP, in the sense that as well it going to allow. Okay, and then Salesforce as well it going to allow. Okay, so that in real time, Terraform it's the recommended one for doing this resource creation. Okay, for setting up the new infra, Terraform is the recommended one. Okay, why? Because once we know the exact syntax of Terraform, you don't worry about the scripting. Okay, so here we are going to use the HCL. HCL, it's a language that is going to be helpful to design a Terraform. Similarly, if you go with the CFT, right? Instead of CFT, we are using JSON and YAML. Okay, JSON and YAML scripting we are using instead of CloudFormation. And then Lambda, we are integrating the Boto3. And yeah, Terraform, it is similar like your automation. And here as well, whatever the Terraform, whatever the tool you going to pick, you have to configure the credential. Then only you can automate it. So that is the thing in Terraform, and then ELK stack, Elasticsearch, Elasticsearch, log stack, and then Kibana, just like nothing. We are integrating with the real-time databases and log related, which is like, CloudWatch, CloudTrail SMS, those kind of things we are going to perform it. So fine, and then Elasticsearch. So these kind of things, we are going to discuss in ELK stack. And then Kubernetes. Kubernetes, which is nothing for providing that high availability. In real time, Kubernetes is the recommended one, which is like high availability, which is nothing, bro. Which is nothing, guys. Similarly, if you are deploying any application in Docker container, right? So if that operating system goes down, or if that virtual machine hardware goes failure in the sense, your container is going to be stopped state. If your container is going to be stopped state in the sense, public peoples can't access your application which you deployed in that container. So that in real time, Kubernetes is the recommended one. For example, if any operating system if any operating system goes down, or if your application got, going to, if your container going to stop, something like that made it in your virtual machine in the sense, it will duplicate that respective container. Okay, then it gives that high availability. Okay, here if you are, if you are forgot to delete that in the sense, you can simply get the backup. Okay, which is like, it automatically creates the new one using that existing data. Okay, for high availability, we can go with the Kubernetes. Okay, so anybody having any doubts in this flow of our, course content? Python, Boto 3, Lambda, those kind of things. Anybody has any doubts? Yeah.
It's fine, Ram.
Okay. So fine, guys. Now we can go with the Linux basics. So before that, I'll just, log into my AWS account. Who's this? Just a second, I'll just go instead of EC2. Oh, okay, still, it's need to, complete the sign up. Anyone share your credential? Shantosh, can you, share your credential to me?
Yeah, sure, Ram.
Yeah. So once he shared, just, just share it in that, private way. I'll just, pass our screen share for temporarily. Okay, just, share that to me privately
Yeah,
in,
sure, sure.
in Zoom tab, in Zoom message chat. Why we are creating, new instance in the sense, currently it doesn't have any virtual machine in my local machine. Okay, so that,
I
today,
can't share here because it's showing only to network journey. I can share only to network journey.
oh,
Post.
just a second. Just a second, guys. Please wait. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Santosh, you can share me to directly to the work, okay.
Yeah, sure.
So, fine. I'll just sign up this account. Why? Because still sign up is pending. So that I'll just sign up this one.
Yeah, it's done, Ram.
Okay. Just a second, guys. Just a second, guys. I'll just log into my our account. It's Mason Ego Research. Oh, Santosh, can you check your mail? It's showing like
Yeah, sure.
invalid mail like that. Okay, okay, no issues. Actually, no, it's working fine. It's fine. Okay. So now I'll just share my screen. Okay. So here I have, successfully comes under my, this comes under our account. So here I am going to, create an instance. Okay, so today we are going to discuss the EC2 part. So that, today I am going to create a EC2 instance. So that I'll just, redirect it to, I'll just comes under instance tab. Actually, here already one instance is there. So I'll just skip that one. So I'm going to create a new instance. Anybody has any doubts in this VM creation? Anybody has any doubt or concern in this VM creation? Okay, so this time I'm going to pick that Ubuntu. Like that, in real time, so many Linux flavor is there. Like, SUSE and Red Hat. Like that, so many Linux flavor is there. Today I'll just pick that Ubuntu. So here encryption key is there, for for taking that remote, we have to configure that encryption key. I'll just keep it like so. So you have to choose PPK. Okay, so PPK it's more convenient to take that Linux remote. If you are picking that .pem key format, right? So that is not convenient to take the remote. So in that time, what you need to do, you have to go with the putty generation, and then you have to generate the new keeper file. So then only you can authenticate it. So that too much of complex thing. So that I'll pick that .ppk file. Okay. Our instance got initialized. Okay, we have to wait for some times. Once it is comes under running state, we can take the remote here as well. Okay, so two kind of remote we can perform. I'll just open this Paint. Paint, it's not regular. I just open that notepad. So first, two options there. You can take a remote of AWS console as well. Console as well, you can take that remote. Even you can take the remote in putty as well. Okay, putty it's a third party. Third party. Okay, using the tool you can authenticate your Linux based VMs. Okay, for no, for remote we can use this putty and then AWS console. Okay, so AWS console, they are giving only for AWS EC2. Okay, so that is the main thing. But if you are using putty, right? So in that time, you can take that, Azure virtual machine as well, and GCP virtual machine as well. Like that, it can perform. But that advantage of using putty, right? You can simply copy that. You can change the font size, like that. You can customize your console. But if you are using that AWS console in the sense, you can't customize this. They are giving on, background, black background. Some, it will be, little bit uh, confusing. So here as well, you can take that remote. Okay, so the advantage is we don't want to mention any public key. Okay, we don't want to mention any, sorry, no, not public key, private key. I'll just, connect this.
So meanwhile, do we
Mhm.
also use putty in companies as well in MNCs?
Yeah, putty, and then in here AWS EC2 console as well. You can take the remote. Here you can see now we successfully taken that remote. The advantage is we don't want to specify any credential here. You can simply click it, connect. That is fine. But if you are opening putty, right? Just open that putty. Sorry, putty. Here you have to define the public key. In organization, putty is that recommended one. Okay, AWS in the sense, if you are working with any AWS related virtual machine, sorry, any AWS VM in the sense, in the time, these people going to help for your projects, those things. But if you are going with any other instance in real time, on premises remote as well, you can take this putty. So fine, I'll just open my putty. Sorry, I'll just open my PPK file. Yeah, this one just before I downloaded, right? So this is one just before I created, right? I'll just pick that up. I'll just simply open it. Okay, so here we need to define that file. After that, you can simply click it open. Yeah. So here we need to assign that username. Okay, by default, your username will be Ubuntu. Okay, if you are taking if you are taking Ubuntu machine in AWS, right? By default, username will be Ubuntu. Okay, you don't worry about the password. You don't worry about the password. Why? Because it's going to authenticate using that key. But here as well, you can define it as a password authentication. We will discuss it. Fine, I'll just I'm going to run some commands instead of our EC2. So fine. So first I'm going to migrate as a root user. Okay, why I need to go the root user? Which is nothing. If if you take a Windows as example, okay. For example, you can take Windows as example. Inside of your Windows, so many users are like so many user you are creating. Okay. So if you are going to install any application, right, in the time, it's going to ask the it asking that administrator permission, right? Similarly, if you take Linux machine, right? Similarly, here as well, we have to give the root permission. So then only we can do the major activity. We can perform the major activity. So that here I run this command sudo root, which means I'll just shift into root user. In the existing line, you can see Ubuntu user, but now we successfully migrated into the root user. Okay, here I can perform all things. For example, if I need to check that present working directory. Present working directory, currently now I am in home and Ubuntu. Currently I am in Ubuntu folder, which is comes under the home directory. Similarly, which is nothing. If you are opening folder, right? I'll just open these pictures. If I go inside of Docker, okay, this Docker belongs to pictures. Okay, so similar thing. Okay, similar thing come over here. Okay, so inside of this file, you can check, who, what are all the files comes under this Ubuntu folder. Like that, you can check it. If I click ls in the sense, short list. If I give ll in the sense, long list. Okay, so if any file, comes under in this Ubuntu folder in the sense, it's going to list. Okay, if you are creating any new file inside of this Ubuntu in the sense, in that time, this ls command going to pick that file name. Okay, so for example, how to create the file in the sense, simple. We can simply create touch sample.txt. Okay, I'll just put this enter. Just before what I did, I'm using one command which is touch, and then here I defined that file name with the extension. Okay, that is what I executed in that previous line. So here I'll just give the ls command again. What will happen? That sample txt come over here. Okay, so this is what short list, this is what long list. If any system file is there in the sense, it's going to pick. If any customize, if we are created any file in the sense, it's going to pick this one. Okay, so not only ls, like that, so many command is there. For example, we can create a folder. For example, here if we right click in the sense, one option is there, like new option and then folder. If I click that in the sense, I can create the new folder in console, in Windows console. Similarly, here as well, we can perform the same. For example, mkdir is a command. After that, you have to define your folder name. For example, folder 1. Okay, folder 1, it's my folder name. I'll just create it. Now I am again give the ls command. Here you can see folder 1 got created, and then sample .txt as well placed in this Ubuntu folder. So now I'm going to move in. So now I'm going to shift into my folder 1. How I can shift? How I can move into that folder? We can simply give cd command and then simply paste it here. Okay, so the inside of putty, we don't want to use any control C, control V kind of commands. We can simply select it and then simply right click it. Okay, select is what? Control C. Right click is what? Paste command in putty. Here you can see now we successfully comes under the folder 1. Okay, if I give ls in the sense, here no file is there. Okay, so that is what we can perform. If I want to come out from all directory in the sense, we can simply click space slash. Okay, if I click cd space slash in the sense, it comes out from the all directory. If I if I need to again, if I'm if I'm going to do some operations in folder 1 in the sense, I can shift easily go by using that cd command and then put this command, put this path in the sense, you can simply migrate, simply shift into that location. Okay, so if I if you guys feel I need to come one step back in the sense, you guys can just put it like cd space dot. Okay, so if I define cd space dot in the sense, it comes under one step back it will come. Okay, so this is what cd and cd slash ls like that, so many commands we executed. Like so many command is there. For example, if you want to get your machine IP in the sense, you can simply use if config. If you run in the sense, so if config it's not run, it asking me to install some packages. I'll explain how to install those things. I will explain. So if you want to clean your screen in the sense, you can simply click the define the command called clear. If I click the command, if I define clear in the sense, what will happen? My screen got cleared. After that, what I can do? So now I'm going to create a file. Okay, so now I'm going to create a file. I'm going to add some content in this file. In the sense, we can use this Vim module. Okay, so Vim is the module. This is going to be write some content in your new file and then existing file as well. For example, I'll just give that ls command. Okay, so here sample.txt. So now I'm going to see the content inside of sample.txt. How you can see? Just give that cat and then paste that. Okay, here you can see it it doesn't redirect any content. Why? Because still no content inside of this sample.txt. Now I'm going to write some content inside of this sample.txt, so that I'm just using vi and vim. Okay, you can use both will work. Sample.txt. Okay, you have to give the same name with extension. Okay, you have to give the same name with extension. That is mandatory. If you are giving any different name in the sense, it gives it going to create the new file. So I'll just click enter. Here you can see one new console come over here. So first I'm going to give I. Okay, if you give if you click I in the sense, in bottom you can see it is going to change as a insert. Once it becomes insert in the sense, you can write some content in your file. For example, welcome to all for first day session with me. Okay, here I just define one line of one line of content, and thanks. Here I define some content. Okay, how you can save the file? Just click escape button. Okay, once you click that escape button, the sense insert gone. After that, you have to give one command which is :wq. Okay, which means nothing. Just before you write some content, right? You want to save that content, so that you have to give wq :wq. You have to give. So now we can check the existing command. Okay, so for fetching that existing command, you don't worry about it. You can simply click that up arrow. You can get the previous command. Here you can see our existing command come over here. Okay, so now I'm going to change some content. So I'll just again click I, and here I'll just define some unwanted things. Oh, sorry. So now I need to remove this content. Okay, just before I write some wrong content, so I need to remove this content from my file. So how I can remove it in the sense? Simple. :q this icon. So once you click enter in the sense, again if you click that sample.txt in the sense, in that time that content not come over here. Why? Because we skip that. Okay, which we write that in text file, that we skipped it. Okay, that is what :q and then this symbol. Okay, after that so many, for example, here I'm going to create one more file. For example, mkdir sample, because this is my second folder. I'll just give ls. Here you see two folder I have created. Folder 1 sample, and then sample.txt. Like that, 3 file I have configured. Now what I'm going to do, now I'm going to copy this file into my folder 1. How I can shift? Simple. We can simply use cp command. Okay, so cp means copy. You have to define your source location. First, you have to define your source location. If this source file in a different directory, in the sense, you have to define that exact path. But currently this sample.txt in the same directory, so that we don't want to define like that. We can simply define that text file name. That is enough. So now I'm going to shift this file into this folder 1. So that I'll just define / our folder name. I'll just click it. Now I'm again click ls. Here still our sample.txt file placed here. Okay, just before what I did, I just copied. Okay, copy means what? I clone this file into the folder 1. I'll just check it. Folder 1. So after I'll just click ls. Oh, I think this will work. Just a second. I'll just check this command. cp will work. cp space slash folder. Cp space slash folder. Sorry. Actually, no, we successfully now shifted. I'll just check my folder name. Folder one. Same thing I have defined here. Folder one. Okay. Again, check that folder one. Instead, what I'm going to do, just first I'll just redirect into that folder one. So this time I've just fetch the path. Okay. After that, I'll just come out from that. So this time I'm going to remove this path. Instead, I'll just define this path which I copied from here. I'll just paste it. We can go instead of folder one. Yeah. So now our sample.txt come over here. Okay, you have to define that destination path. Here you have to define the source path. Okay, source path with the file, you have to define it here. After that, you have to define that destination path. Sorry, destination path. Okay, actually, no, this one as well, it will work. I don't know. Actually, no, I'm using that Ubuntu. In some cases, it will be, complex. So that, this one, it's a recommended one. Okay, you can simply copy the path from home directory. After that, you can execute this. Okay, so here I'm going to check the content. I'll just give the sample.txt. Here you can see, here as well, you can get the same content. Why? Because, just before we clone the sample.txt file from our Ubuntu directory. Okay, so for example, if you want to shift the file, for example, if you want to migrate migrate that sample file to another folder in the sense, that also you can perform. For example, I'll just give the ls command. Yeah. So now I'm going to migrate the sample.txt file into our sample file. How I can, define that in the sense, it's very simple. Just before I use the cp command, right? So this time I'm going to use, this time I'm going to use mv command. Mv in the sense move file command. Mv. Okay, so here you have to define the source location. Now I'm going to shift this sample.txt into our sample folder. So that I'll just define sample folder location here. After that, I'll just click enter. Now I'm going to execute the ls command. If I define that in the sense, that sample.txt file is gone. Why? Because this is shifted into our sample folder. Just click for verification, just redirect into the sample ls. Here you can see that sample come over here. Okay, so not only shift and then migrate. If you want to fetch that history, for example, still we discussed so many commands. So how you can fetch that history in the sense, which is which is very simple. Just search it like history. In the sense, you can get the all commands which you executed just before. I'll just copy this. Yeah, you can simply select it and then paste it here. Okay, so after that, so many things that okay. So for discussing about our Linux, you have to know the Linux file system. Okay, so similarly, if you take Windows, right? So inside of that, music, pictures, desktop, and then so many folders there. If you see this tab, in the sense, you can know desktop, downloads, documents, picture, music, like that. So many folders there. Similarly, here as well, so many folders there. Okay, for knowing that hierarchy, you can simply click. You can simply redirect into the root directory. How we can go into that root directory in the sense, simple. We can just define that cd space slash. In the sense, it will be redirected into the root directory. After that, you can simply give ls, in the sense, so many file come over here, lib, root, like that, so many file come over here. For knowing that, exact flow of hierarchy, in the sense, just search it like Linux file system. Like that, if you search, some, images come over here. Yeah, I'll just open this image. Here you can see these are all your actual folders: bin, boot, dev, etc, home, lib, like that, so many folders there. Okay, these are all you guys have to know the flow. Okay, you guys have to know the hierarchy, so that I am explaining the folder things. So by default, root directory. Okay, if you are giving cd slash, in the sense, it will be comes under the root directory. If you are taking that remote first time, in the sense, it will be redirect to home Ubuntu. Okay, this, by default, you will get, you will be in this location. If you want to come out from that, in the sense, just put it like cd space slash, cd slash, in the sense, you can come out from that exact location. You will be, get into root directory. After that root directory, so many folders there: bin, boot, dev, home, lib, like that, so many directories there. Okay, which is like, for example, if we take bin, right? Just before we executed so many commands like, sudo su, cd, and pwd, cd, cp, like that, so many commands we executed just before. History, so many commands we executed just before. All commands will be, write it in that bin folder. Okay, and then boot. Okay, so your operating system booting files, which is like, your C drive. Instead of your local disk C, your operating system got configured, right? Similarly, instead of this boot folder, your Linux operating system got configured. And then device files, and then libraries. For example, if you are configuring any real-time libraries, for example, Boto3 and NJNX, like that, so many Docker packages, like that, so many libraries are, right? All libraries comes under this one. And if you want to your temporary files placed into this tmp folder, and etc, which is nothing, host specific configuration, which is like, hosting related things we can configure here. And home directories. Okay, your which is like your desktop in your Windows having desktop, right? Similarly here as well, home directories are like that, so many folder listing here. Okay, so your proc, in the sense, your processing information, those things comes under here, like that, so many folder listing here. If you want to know about, in the sense, just refer this documentation, you can get those things. Fine. So now, just before, what I did, I executed so many commands, right? So now what I'm going to do, so now I'm going to change my authentication type. Just before, I'm using the CLI key to authenticate my EC2 instance, right? Now I'm going to change as a password based authentication. How I can change? Which is very simple. Just redirect into one file. So now I'm going to open one file. So that file will be comes under etc space ssh/sshd underscore config. Okay, this is what our actual file. Here we need to enable the password authentication. So I'll just click enter. Here you can see one file got opened. First, you have to enable the permit root login. By default, it will be command state. First, I'll just let's click enter. Permit root login. By default, it will be prohibited password. You have to change it as a yes. After that, just scroll it. If you scroll it, in the sense, yeah, password authentication. By default, this also will be in no state. You have to enable this as a yes. yes. And then, you don't want to do anything inside of this file, and you can simply save it by putting :wq. So fine, I am going to restart this service. Whatever the service restart, whatever the service you guys are going to restart or start, stop, like that, in the sense you have to use systemctl command. Systemctl ssh, sorry, restart ssh. So this is that command to restart our SSH file. So now I'm going to set one password to my root user. So that I'm going to give sswd root. Okay, it asking me to define the new password. I'll just define my new password. Okay, I successfully updated that. So one more time, I'll just restart that SSH. Now I'm again going to take that remote without using public key. Okay, why? Sorry, without using our private key. Why? Because just before I configure the password authentication, right? So that this time I'm going to take the remote using the password. So I'll just pick the password. I'll just click this open. Yeah, I need to define that username. I'm just define it as a root. Okay, why? Because I have set the password to root user. Here it asking me to define the password. I'll just define my password which I configured. We can simply click enter. You can successfully see our our folders, those things you can see. Okay, not only for for password authentication. If you want to log in with the if you want to log in with the ppk file as well, ppk file in the sense that as well you can do. Okay, that also it will be available. You can log in with the you can log in with the ppk file as well. Now we can log in with the password authentication as well. Okay, so anybody has any doubts in that, in these all shell commands? Don't worry about this shell commands. I'll just share this commands to you guys. You can get that. Yeah, here you can see around 52 commands we executed. I'll share the all commands. You guys can get that from our end. Anybody has any doubts? Shall we wind up?
So I have a quick question actually. That when you are go to that config file, CT backslash what is SSH key, SSH configuration. So that means actually we have to configure that entire system, or what is that?
Actually, it's a host file though. Okay. So
Okay.
for enabling that automation, for enabling the authentication, we have to configure it. Okay. Why? Because your Linux is going to be work in that SSH port.
Okay.
SSH port in the sense which is nothing, 22. 22 is that port number, exact port number. So in that time you have to configure the SSHD configuration file. Then only it's going to it's going to allow you to take the remote as a remote in password authentication.
Okay.
If you are not allowing any password authentication here, instead you are just giving only password root in the sense, in the time it doesn't allow you to take the remote. Before that you have to enable the password authentication. Instead of that, so many configuration is there. Okay, that is apart from that session. Here what we did, we are just enable the password authentication. Okay, got it?
Okay.
Anybody has any other doubts, something, any concerns, any real-time questions? Anybody has any doubt on something? Shall we wind up?
Okay.
Okay, guys. So we can wind up the today's part. We can continue tomorrow. Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.